Welcome to 805 Sports Talk. I'm Joe Bailey. We got a big show planned for you guys this week. Baseball, softball, and track and field. And that's where we will start. The big Santa Barbara County meet was this past weekend in Carpinteria, and Central Coast was definitely well represented. But personally, I think the biggest story out of the Santa Barbara County Championships was one Righetti senior Angel Plascencia won 2 county titles in the 100 and 200 meter dashes. Angel set a PR in the 100, winning at 11.09 seconds, and then won the 200 at 22.62 seconds. A big weekend. It's hard to double in those 2 events, and obviously any track fan knows the sprints are definitely high-profile events. So I caught up with Angel earlier this week at Righetti High School. He talked about his season as a whole and what's coming up for him, and the Pac-8 League prelims are this week, so we will go to our video with Angel. So we're here with Righetti track sprinter Angel Plascencia. Won 2 county titles this weekend at Carpinteria High School. What was it like to win 2 county titles at a big meet like that? You know, winning the 100 and the 200, those are 2 events that, you know, kind of get to everyone's attention. How would you kind of describe what this last weekend was like?
Well, I came in, you know, being pretty nervous because I wasn't really seated first for the 100. I was for the 200, but waiting for the 100 just made me kind of nervous because I knew I really had to try because I guess you could say my role model, Hans Kohlenberger, he won the county when he was going to Righetti, and I really wanted to win the county. So I was waiting for the 1, and, you know, I got in the blocks. It was all set. I knew I was good. And when those blocks shot off, I just knew I had to give it all I got. My 200 meter, I knew I was favored, but, you know, you never know. Anything could happen in any race, no matter what. So I just always made sure to stay relaxed. And when that gun shot off, I just mainly worried about doing a good curve because I have problems running curves and problems with block starts. So mainly I just focused on my block and my curve, and then I just let the rest, you know, do its work.
Do you have a favorite race between the 2, the 100 or the 200? You said you were favored in the 200, so it was a mild upset to win the 100. What's your favorite race?
Mine would be the 100, but I don't know why I'm better technically in the 2, but I prefer the 1 just because, I don't know, straightaway is just so much fun to run.
Okay. And what do you think the best win was for you this weekend? What are you most proud of? You know, being a little bit of upset in the 1 and taking that, or kind of, you know, being favored in the 200 and coming out on top? What do you think your proudest win was from this past weekend?
I think the 200 because it's more of a technical race. So if you just mess up just a little bit, anyone can take, you know, first or second place. So I think the 200 would probably be my favorite.
Okay. And you know, just your story this year just isn't about the 2 titles this last weekend. It's kind of, I think it's just kind of amazing where you came from. You weren't always a sprinter. You played soccer, was kind of your primary sport, and you don't really have the prototypical body of a sprinter. You're 6'2", you know, you're long, lean. Just how do you feel about the whole kind of season that you've had as a whole, kind of a breakout year for you? How would you kind of describe it?
Well, when the season started, you know, I guess you could say I'm the captain of this team, so having a lot of underclassmen on this track team, it made me want to push myself to be, you know, a better role model to all these kids, so when they grow up and by the time they're a senior, they could, you know, be champions too like me. And yeah, so I just always, you know, pushed myself as hard as I could, and at practice I gave it 100%.
Who's been the biggest influence with you with track? I know Mike Pope is kind of a big figure with the track scene. You know, he's a good sprinter coach. Has there been some coaches? You mentioned Hans Kohlenberger, some guys like that. Who kind of helped you along the way to get to this point?
Oh, it was definitely, you know, my role model, Hans Kohlenberger. You know, outside of track, we always hung out. I really got close to him, and he always pushed me to beat him. My parents always told me, you know, forget about everyone else. You're just racing Hans. So mainly Hans, and then the head coach Hollenshed, he really, you know, never really gave up on me, and he always just gave me advice and never to put my head down. And Pope, obviously, he trains me, you know, so hard, makes me throw up, you know, almost every practice. So those are my 3 main role models.
Okay, and the season's not over yet. We still got Pac-8 finals, and then of course the CIF season, Masters, Southern Section prelims, all that stuff. You know, there's still so much ahead. What's kind of your mindset right now with so much in front of you?
Right now, I'm just looking to get a good seed in prelims, which is this Friday, and then after prelims, I'm going to train 110% for finals, so I can make the top 3. And when I go to CIF, I will just let go of everything, and hopefully I can make it to finals in CIF.
Okay. And, on top of that, there's still, being in the CIF races and all that stuff is a great time to get attention from colleges. Is it a dream of yours to run in college? Is that kind of your mindset right now? What do you think the future holds for you in that respect?
Definitely. I never really want to give up track. I just knew that I ended up being good at this sport. I knew I wanted to take it all the way, and I hope for one day, I can run at a 4-year college.
Okay. One more thing, being a sprinter, I think so much of sprinting is about style and kind of having that demeanor and a little bit of confidence on the track. Usain Bolt, so many great American sprinters. How would you kind of sum up your style, your kind of, your attitude out there on the track? Do you kind of have that in your mindset at all, or you just go out there and do your thing?
Yeah, I kind of live by my motto, which is, speed kills.
Okay.
That's basically it.
Is there any more to that? Is there any more behind speed kills, or is it just 2 words that kind of sum up what you're all about?
Just 2 words that sums up what I'm about.
All right. Thanks for your time, Angel, and good luck at the Pac 8 prelims and everything, and thanks for your time.
Thank you.
So that was a big track and field story from this past weekend. But Jacob, you're going to get us all caught up on the Lompoc Valley and the big happenings in baseball and softball.
Yeah, we've got really fun races coming together for LPL softball and baseball, and probably the 2 hardest charging teams in both of those sports are Lompoc High. Lompoc High softball has led the league pretty much from the start of league play, but you always got the sense that they needed to kind of really be tested. They hadn't faced either of the 2nd or 3rd place teams, Templeton or Cabrillo. And they were 8-0. They go up to Templeton. They face a stud freshman pitcher that Templeton has, Ashley Dougherty. And despite the fact that Ashley struck out 19 Braves, Lompoc won 3-0, and a critical win for them. That was so huge for them to now be 9-0, hosting Templeton, and with a chance to expand on their lead, which is now 2 games in the LPL. Cabrillo fell to Napomo 11-10, and really a disappointing game, I'm imagining, for them because of how important this week is and the next couple of weeks to determine who the champion will be. Really impressed with Lompoc's Olivia Gutierrez. Their senior pitcher has just done fantastic, and to borrow a word from Coach McKenna Martin, she's been phenomenal pretty much the entire league schedule. They have Cheyenne Marmolejo catching. She's last year's co-league MVP with Jenna Daly for Cabrillo. So that is a combination of players that is really confident right now. And that whole lineup, Riley Sager, and so many of their players have come together and really been playing well. Baseball, once again, another season where Lompoc High baseball has to kind of figure some things out and is now just charging. They're 1 game behind San Ynez for 2nd place. San Ynez is 1 game behind Cabrillo, who's in 1st place. Really an exciting race shaping up. Cabrillo's got probably the best pitcher in the league in Philip Martin, who is the leading candidate to be MVP in my opinion. And so if you're a fan of baseball or softball, you're in Lompoc Valley, you've got to find a way to come out and watch these guys and these girls play, because it's promising to be a really exciting finish. And I'm not the only one who gets an opportunity to watch some really good softball and baseball. Kenny Cress has had an opportunity to watch some great Pac 8 action, and he's going to catch us up on all of that.
Okay, thanks, Jacob. Well, Tuesday I went to Arroyo Grande to catch the Righetti Arroyo Grande softball game. 2 of the better teams in the league. They're both chasing Atascadero at the moment, who is in 1st place. I expected a close game, one along the lines that Righetti won 2-1 with a 7th inning rally when they played here. Well, up there it was close for 4 innings, and then Righetti rang up 12 runs in the 5th. It had been a while since I'd seen anything like that. The hits just kept coming and coming and coming. There were 2 home runs that inning. Jackie Prober had 2 hits that same inning, including a 3-run double. I know that happens sometimes. A team just gets hot and starts piling up the hits against some pretty good pitchers, and that is what happened Tuesday. Now, getting to the county track meet, I've always enjoyed the county track meet. Every year it's one of my favorite things to cover. I'm kind of a track and field guy anyway. I did the sport in high school. I've always enjoyed covering it. as a sports writer. It was fun seeing all the athletes from different schools in the county, particularly ones in the South County who I don't get a chance to see that much. The sportsmanship is always good. There seems to be a sort of comradeship amongst the competitors. The boys' varsity competition, St. Joseph got started with a dominating win really in the 4x100 to start the boys' relay, to start the boys' competition. Several athletes had a big day. Joe talked about Angel Placencia's big day. 3 girls' records went down. There were several county championships. It was fun to see. Now there is a big local event coming up, the rodeo, which is approaching upon us, and Elliott is here to tell us all about that.
Thanks, Kenny. We just finished the Elks Mini Rodeo qualifiers over at the Unocal Event Center, where the youngsters competed in team roping, breakaway roping, and barrel racing. And the top 5 from each of those groups is coming back on Thursday morning, June 2nd, to kick off the 73rd annual Santa Maria Elks Rodeo. Now, the kids will take center stage. There'll be 6,000 other children bussed in from local schools to watch that. It's a full rodeo event, and the buckle runs will be held on Thursday morning, June 2nd. So some of you did get the chance to come out and watch the qualifying. The only adults that are going to be at the mini rodeo finals are the teachers, the chaperones, and rodeo personnel, because this one is all for the kids. It's a great day. Now, that night, though, Thursday night, kicks off 4 nights of the Elks Rodeo. It's the PRCA and WPRA Rodeo. The PRCA is the Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association. The WPRA is the Women's Professional Rodeo Association. And I bring that up because those 2 different associations provide the cowboys and cowgirls. And Santa Maria, just this past season, was honored as the number 1 medium-sized rodeo in America by the women, by the WPRA. So they're all going to be back there. They're going to show off their plaques. And the 73rd annual, that kicks off Thursday night, June 2nd, runs for 4 days. Now, one of the things that we're all excited about is, you know, we've for years now, I think it's 11 seasons, we've done high school basketball and high school football live here at SantaMariaTimes.com. This year, for the first time, we're going to be going live from the rodeo. Friday night before the performance, we're going to do 805 Sports Talk. We're all going to be there to talk about the rodeo, and because other things are going on, we'll keep you up with the rest of the local world of sports. But for that night, we're going to be live at the rodeo. And then Championship Sunday, when the rodeo wraps up, we will also be there for another 805 Sports Talk in the afternoon, right when the champions are crowned. We hope to have a number of live guests, grab a couple of the champions to be able to talk to all of you and tell you how they did over the weekend. So we're all looking forward to it. It's going to be an exciting time. Live 805 Sports Talk right from the rodeo grounds at the Elks Unocal Event Center. And one other thing I want to toss in before we toss it back to Joe. We had an 805 Sports Talk a couple weeks ago, and I missed it. I wasn't available to be here, but that's because I was on vacation. I took a little trip to see my daughter. My wife and I, Marilee and I, went to see Kayla in Oklahoma City. And, well, Oklahoma City is not that far from Texas, so I took a little side trip while I was there and went down to watch the NASCAR races, the Xfinity and Sprint Cup races, and Kyle Busch won both of those this weekend. And the reason I bring that up is he lost a race here in Fontana that I was able to go to, and he was not very happy about it. I had the chance to speak with him after both of the races, and he was in a much better mood and displayed much better disposition. And it was fun to watch the races and be able to bring you those stories. I hope you got to read them in the Santa Maria Times and online at SantaMariaTimes.com. As we just continue to try to bring you as many sports as we can each day and each week here at Santa Maria Times. Joe?
Thanks, Elliott. So we talk about so much we talk so much about local sports, so it's always good to kind of mix it up a little bit and talk about some big national news. And for us here in California, being big NBA fans, I think everybody's kind of thinking about the situation with the Clippers and the Warriors. We saw Sunday Steph Curry went down with a knee injury. He's going to be out about 2 weeks after MRI revealed he had a knee sprain. So people started talking about, oh, maybe that opens the door for the Clippers. And then Monday night, Blake Griffin and Chris Paul get hurt. Blake is out for the rest of the playoffs. Chris Paul, who knows how long with a broken hand. So that just really makes the whole Western Conference playoffs that more intriguing. Jacob, I'm just kind of curious what you think about that whole situation.
Well, I still think Golden State is positioned well to not have to fear they're going to be knocked out just because Curry's gone. But I do think it's kind of interesting that in all this injury chaos, it's kind of like just another reminder of the team that people didn't pay attention to as much as their record would normally indicate they would. The Spurs just keep on going, and they're a machine, and unlike a lot of machines, they don't break down. And so everyone's like, oh my gosh, the Clippers are completely out of the playoffs really at this point. They lost all hope. The Warriors have the ability to make adjustments, but there's the Spurs that just keep on going. And if you're a Spurs fan, it's like you almost never have to experience this kind of anguish. But you got to feel bad for the Clippers. I mean, if there's a more snake-bit franchise in the NBA, I'm curious as to what it could be.
I have to like the Spurs' chances. They're a team that's hard not to like.
Yeah.
They seem to do it right year in and year out. You see some teams that make the playoffs and then they plummet, like the Lakers, into the abyss, and there seems to be no way back for them. But Popovich and his people over there in San Antonio, they keep bringing in pieces so that now that their 3 stars are aging, they're not needed at crunch time as much as they used to be. So they've got guys like Kwame Leonard, is it, and Kawhi Leonard, and LaMarcus Aldridge, and they're stepping right into those shoes. And you got to think right now, the Clippers are toast. They may not be able to make it out of the first round. They've lost their top 2 players. And I've already heard speculation that the time is right to get rid of Blake Griffin because he's played his best and his best days are already behind him, and he's not that old. But the Warriors, they've got a lot of talent. Now, they've lost the league's MVP. Likely he'll be a 2-time MVP shortly. But I think they can hang in the first round. I think the team that they've got to fear is if they can make it to the Western Conference Finals. There's the Spurs, and they're not injured, and they've got fresh legs on the bench, so they just keep coming year after year after year. And I'm a little worried about Curry's knee. Even if he makes it back, will he be able to go at 100%? Will he favor it? Will the rust affect his outside shooting, which is where he shines? But right now, I think the pendulum is swung in the Spurs' favor.
Well, what I'm curious about from Kenny and Joe is, what do the Warriors look like now without Curry? What does the plan look like without Curry?
I don't see how they can go all the way. I'm not sure they can get to the Spurs, much less get past them without Curry. There's a reason why they're a -2 without Curry on the floor. You have Klay Thompson, who's the other half of the Splash Brothers, and very good players such as Draymond Green, but it all starts with Curry, and Charles Barkley is correct. If it takes 2 weeks until he's cleared, it's going to be longer than 2 weeks. Like, you just don't step right back on the – Barkley knows you don't step right back onto the court after coming back just from being cleared and be ready to play. So it could be almost a week, at least a week longer than 2 weeks that he's out. They're in the very unenviable position, I think, of almost hoping that their series gets extended so Curry has more of a chance to come back.
Yeah, I think the Warriors can definitely get past the Rockets without Curry. they might be able to get past the next round. But if they meet the Spurs in the finals, I don't see how they can stand a chance against the Spurs without Curry. You know, he's the MVP, you know, and I know the Warriors are deep, but it's still the MVP and probably the best player in the world right now. You can't succeed against a great team like the Spurs without your full lineup there. So they're definitely going to need Curry back to repeat as champions and just even to make the finals. So it's going to be real interesting
And
to see
as
how
you
it plays
guys
out.
touched on the Spurs, I've always liked the Spurs, and as you guys touched on, they just keep rolling along.
The only likable dynasty.
I mean,
Well,
I like
besides
it
the
that they're
Yankees.
without drama.
Yeah.
They basketball.
He says the
so little
Yankees.
drama.
I say the Celtics, the Yukon women. There's a lot of likable dynasties. I'll vote for the Patriots. But you know who's got to be sitting there watching this whole thing right now from the outside looking in, and they're thrilled? The Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yeah.
Because they're very likely going to be the Eastern Conference representative in the championship series. They weren't looking forward to playing the Warriors, no matter what they say. They're not looking forward to playing the Warriors. And if they're playing a Warriors team where Curry's at less than 100%, or playing the Spurs, although the Spurs have the second best record in the league, they've got to feel pretty good about their chances of pulling off a championship. But that's way down the road, and Curry may very well be back in time for that.
And I'll just say that just as people who enjoy watching good basketball, what horrible luck that all of this happened, right? It's not like it's not like someone fell on his leg. It's not like this is a product of him not, training hard enough. He slipped on a wet spot on the
Slipped on a
court.
wet spot.
And we lost the MVP, being able to watch him do his stuff because of a wet spot on the court.
Well, Chris Paul grabbed a guy's shirt and broke his hand. I watched the replays over and over again trying to see what hit him, or did somebody step on him, and he grabbed the guy's shirt and then started grabbing his wrist. How did that happen? And then Griffin started limping, and, well, I think the Clippers are now toast after all that.
Yeah.
So you never know. Freak injuries happen.
Yeah. And I think the NBA probably loves having this just because it makes it so much more dramatic. You know, I'm sure they want their top players to be in the lineup, but still it just creates so much drama. You know, people want to see what's happening. People are going to check up on social media for injury updates, and you know, is Curry going to try to fight through an injury to get back? Is Chris Paul going to, play with the broken hand and not miss a game? You know, who knows what's going to happen.
Well, Paul Pierce got wheeled out once to a game, right?
Yeah.
Just have Curry on a, just put him at his favorite three-point spot and just have it,
I'm sure they'll try.
probably still
whether
score
or not
20
they
points
can
a game.
actually
Yeah.
do it. We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm sure the NBA loves when people talk about the sport. So and we like it too because it gives us something to talk about. So yeah, that's our show for this week. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure to follow us on social media, on Twitter and Facebook, and look out for the next show, which will be up in about 2 weeks. And we got some big things planned for the upcoming editions of 805 Sports Talk. We're going to be at the rodeo, and make sure to check us out online and in print.
And we got high school playoffs will be coming up shortly. We'll be all over those. So there's a lot of stuff still happening as the spring high school season comes to an end. So we're going to be there, and we're going to bring it all to you in print, online, and of course right here every 2 weeks on 805 Sports Talk. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again next time.